movie was popping. It's your boy Retro. We are back with another video. Like, guys, stay tuned with the Marvel Returning. Welcome back. See what I'm saying? We're on the road to 500 subscribers. So subscribe. Because we are on the road to 500. You like the videos to stay tuned. I ain't know my damn intro. Ain't that great? But anyways, we are reacting to a horror film. I said horror film, horror short, animated. I got some of these on the channel and shit. I got a lot of stuff on the channel, you just gotta dig involved. But we got 7 animated horror film, stories and shit. I'm watching it with my brother.
What's happening? Always Ron in the building. If you,
we got like, I don't know how many of you got.
We got maybe like 3 vids.
3 vids. We got 1 out publicly.
Yeah.
The other one working on it.
Yeah.
Don't question me about that.
They in the vault.
We in the vault, but we got some junk coming up soon. But we got this by YC Entertainment, and enough talking, man. Let's jump right into this thing, bro. So let's go.
Happened to me in 2017 when I was about 15 years old. The day was going all right. It was an average Saturday. I was just sitting on the couch in the living room, chatting with my friends online on my tablet. Besides me, only my parents were home because my older sister was hanging out with her friends. It was around 2:30 p.m. when someone knocked on the door. My mother went to check out who it was, and I looked over to the door, curious to see who it was as well. My mom looked through the peephole and she saw 2 men outside. One of them was wearing a blue shirt and the other wearing a black jacket. They were complete strangers. None of us knew either of the men, and we weren't used to receiving any visitors, canvassers, or anything like that. So since my mom didn't know them, she asked who they were, but neither of them answered that question. Instead, the man with the blue shirt said they needed to use the house. My mother obviously got creeped out by that response, like anyone would, and she asked what he meant by that. But the man just said that they needed to get in the house, but my mother responded that she was not letting them in and that they needed to leave. The man wearing the black suddenly banged on the door and tried to force it open. At that moment, my mom screamed and I jumped off of the couch. I was completely startled and I was panicking, but also frozen in shock. There were so many things going through my head, and that's when my mom turned to me and shouted for me to call the police. The man hadn't stopped banging on our door, and they started trying to kick it in. Thankfully, the hinges on our door managed to hold it in place. My father heard all the noise and came running from his room with his revolver in hand, yelling and asking, "What's going on?" But then the banging stopped, and we heard the men running away. My mother called the police. They arrived in 15 minutes. We explained what happened, but they said they couldn't do much immediately. None of us knew where they ran to or if they had any vehicle. So the cops couldn't do anything immediately, but they said they would see if they could find anything useful in the few security cameras around the area and talk to potential witnesses. The rest of the day passed by and nothing strange happened, so we thought that everything was okay, and it really seemed to be until the next day. In the middle of the night on Sunday, I was in the living room playing some games on my laptop while voice chatting with a friend on Discord. We were on vacation, so we would play games all night, but then I heard some strange noises coming from outside. They sounded like footsteps. I told my friend I had to go check something and got up. Honestly, I both thought and hoped that it would be nothing. But just in case, I brought my baseball bat with me and went to check on the door. As I was walking up to the door, someone unlocked it from the outside and started opening the door as if they simply had the key. I was paralyzed for a moment, and a man who was about my height but definitely larger than me walked into the house. He was dressed completely in black and had a mask over his face. He seemed surprised that I was there and he started reaching into his back pocket. It took less than a second for my heart to start pounding out of pure terror. My first instinct was to hit the man on the head with the baseball bat with all my strength, and I did it. It all happened in a second. I struck him in the temple with the bat and he staggered to the wall. Then, with the adrenaline still rushing through my body, I raised the bat over my head and swung it down at him again. It hit the top of his head this time, and he fell to the ground and didn't get up anymore. But when I saw that right behind him there were 2 other men, one of them had just pulled out a gun and pointed at me. I couldn't see the gun clearly as it was sort of dark over there, but it was obvious from his stance that he had a gun pointed at me. I confirmed it after I heard him pulling the slide on the gun and immediately screamed as loud as I could and tried to get out of the way. but the man
He
fired
live in
the
the
gun and the
Matrix?
bullet barely missed my head. But the flash from the blast and the loud bang were so close to my face that I got dazed. I fell
I
on
guess
my
he
back.
Neo.
My vision was blurry and my ears were ringing. I was desperately screaming for help and crawling away as fast as I could. I could hear one of the men telling the other to shoot me again already. I thought I was going to die, but I managed to bring myself to my...
Bro, I'm on his side, but I ain't gonna fake. If they was that close and they missed, they sorry. They got sorry. Hey, I don't want him to die, but come on, man.
I know they mean business because they don't. None of them got no mask on.
They did. They look great. They bold.
They ain't got no mask on. They was ready to kill anybody because they risking it all, bro.
Yeah.
Man, bro.
feet and run around the corner and out of their view. Everyone
I
in the
would've took
house
off
had
them
woken
house
up to
shoes.
the
I would've
gunshot
took
and was
off, bro.
screaming, and my father rushed in with his gun. As soon as he saw the men who broke in, he began shooting at them both. I think a bullet hit one of them because he screamed out before I heard more shots and they ran away. They got into a blue car and tried to speed away from our home. My father shot at them again. It didn't hit them, but the bullets hit their car. As soon as we turned on all the lights, we saw the man that I hit with the metal bat was twitching on the floor, and there was a puddle of blood under the wounds in his head. My mother comforted me and told my sister to call the police, but when she was about to, there were already multiple police cars coming. The friend who was talking to me on Discord heard everything and called the police, and many neighbors did the same due to the gunshots. Because the police arrived so soon, they managed to track down the men who ran away and arrest them both. The man I wounded got taken to the hospital, but I never got any news about what happened to him later, and frankly, I don't want to. Later, I found out that they were already wanted for breaking and entering homes, murdering residents, and then stealing everything of value. And those wretches probably plan to do the same in my house. I hope that justice is served now that these men are behind bars, and it still eats away at me sometimes when I think about it. Had I not been awake and gotten in their way, those men would have done horrible things to my family and me. I'm glad that we are all okay today, and I hope that we will never go through something like that ever again.
My name is Tyler Devereaux. I'm inviting you to attend my brand new 2-hour live masterclass. I'm about to show you what 99% of real estate investors don't.
He can get his ass off my team.
That was wild.
When I was 18, I was very
Let me chill out. I'm on the internet.
Everybody be quick to cancel.
Let me chill out. I'm gonna have to
interested in the human soul, so I was always searching on the internet about it. And then one day, I discovered that there was a meeting discussing the human soul, and I decided to go to that meeting with my friend Sean. But when we arrived at the meeting place, there were only 3 people: me, Sean, and the meeting leader. I was a little disappointed, but the meeting leader seemed like a very knowledgeable person. He began to explain to us information about the soul. He said,
"Human beings each have a soul, but in fact, they can be divided into 2, or the souls of 2 people can merge into 1. In other words, you and I can become one. All souls on earth are ultimately one."
I was listening to his story with curious eyes, but when I looked at Sean, he didn't look very good. Sean whispered to me,
"This person seems a little strange. Let's just go home."
But I was having fun, so I told him to stay a little longer. We chatted with the group leader for a while, and eventually I started thinking about going home. Then the meeting leader told us not to go. Sean and I said we had to go and got up to leave. The meeting leader suddenly raised his hands to the sky and looked at Sean while muttering. His eyes were murderous, and he was holding something that looked like a red...
play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember how Chucky came to be when dude got shot in the toy thing and stuff?
You talking about when he got shot?
Yeah, and he started, bro, this is like him right now, bro.
Jewel in his hand.
What you doing in this situation?
Sean, run!
I screamed. At that time, the meeting leader hit Sean on the head with a red gem, and Sean lost consciousness. Then he took a glass bottle out of his pocket and held it to Sean's mouth. Then he
Why
said,
is he sitting there?
"God, I will take this soul. I will eat it with gratitude."
Then he lifted the bottle to his mouth, took a breath of air, closed the lid, and put it back in his pocket. I didn't know if Sean was alive or dead, and I was so scared that my whole body was shaking, and I had a hard time keeping my balance. The meeting leader looked at me and said,
"I'll give you a chance. If you say you'll give me your soul, I can take your soul away without having to break your head. Now what do we want to do?"
He took the glass bottle out of his other pocket and opened the lid. I was terrified, but I yelled at him,
My head is harder than a stone and it will never break.
He then said to me,
Crazy.
Oh,
Crazy.
I tried to be nice, but I ended up having to make a hole again.
he held out a glass bottle and slowly approached me. The sound of my heartbeat was so loud
Oh,
that
he
it
ain't
almost
built
sounded
He
like
ain't built-
thunder.
he not
At
10
that
toes.
moment, he again raised his hand holding the
Yeah, he
red
did.
gem upward and tried to hit me. So I tackled him with all my strength and knocked him to the floor. We started fighting, rolling around on the floor, and then I snatched the glass bottle from his hand and hit him on the head with it. The bottle shattered and he screamed, clutching his head.
No! This is your house!
He cried and picked up the broken bottle with his bare hands. I helped Sean up and we ran away. Fortunately, Sean came to his senses slightly. Then the meeting leader shouted,
Oh, you're still alive! My sons, where are you going? There is eternal rest in me!
I ran outside and called the police. The leader was arrested and police found dozens of bottles on display in his basement. The bottles had small pictures of people attached to them. When the police asked what the bottles were, he smiled and said,
These are the souls I have absorbed so far. They are in my world now, and they will live within me forever.
He listed dozens of people's names. I took Sean to the hospital, and luckily he recovered. If I hadn't escaped LaShawn then, I can't imagine what would have happened to us.
That's some crazy
I
stuff.
don't even know what to say. I really don't. I was gonna say that joint was lame, but like that I can see that's realistic. I can see real people doing that crazy stuff though.
Yeah, people behind the scenes, I can see that. All that like witchcraft and demonic stuff.
That's he got all them folks on the shelf.
I mean, a killer, like soul snatcher. So
Oh yeah, by the way, these based on like true story.
these best on. Oh, I thought they were just animated.
No. These stories come from like creepypasta.
Yeah.
Yeah, they come from them.
Oh.
Yeah.
This happened about a month ago, and ever since then, I've been scared to peek out the window at night. It all started when my brother told my cousin and me how he heard loud metal banging, almost as if someone was walking around with huge metal boots outside at around 2 a.m. He said that it was loud, like super loud. And since he sleeps on the couch in the living room, it woke him up, and he went to go see what it was. But once he pulled back the curtain to peek outside, it immediately stopped. Which was weird to him because he said it sounded like it was right outside on the street. At first, we didn't believe him and thought he was just lying, as he often makes up things to scare us. But about 3 weeks later,
Why would
I
he make
suddenly
up
woke up
something
at
like
6
he said
a.m.
something at
feeling
night?
thirsty. And right when I was about to get water, I heard it. It sounded exactly like my brother had described, loud metal banging. And it sounded like it was happening right outside the house on the street. Being curious and thirsty, I went to go get some water and decided to peek out the window to see what the
Let me tell you something. If you go downstairs late at night and you hear like banging or something like that, it ain't even by it's by your house, but it ain't in your yard though. You gonna peek out and see what it is, or you gonna mind your business.
Yeah, okay. She's at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, like too.
I'm going downstairs, hear something banging near the house.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna fake. I'm gonna be curious. I'm gonna be on a low key peek.
Yeah.
Like I gotta see, cause I don't know if he's trying to get in. Or I gotta see what it is. Curiosity got me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a little peek, and then if it's something like nothing
Yeah.
crazy, I'll be like, all right.
Yeah.
But if I see it's a threat, then that's when it's something else.
I probably wouldn't be as curious, but I definitely probably will peek though.
noise was. I peeled back the curtain slowly and only let a little crack open, just big enough that I could see what was outside. And then I saw what was making all the noise. I saw a huge man who was at least 8 feet tall. He was monstrous
arthritis.
and looked like a human, but whose bones had been deformed and twisted in ways that no average human could bend them. He was also dragging massive metal chains, and with each step he
what
took,
in the
he picked up the
elder
chains and
reign?
threw them on the ground, which was what my brother and I had heard. I was dumbfounded at what I had just seen and turned around to grab my phone and try to record it. But as soon as I turned back around, the noise stopped and the man was gone. I was petrified and decided to run back to my room, and I couldn't go back to sleep after that. When my brother woke up, I told him the whole thing, but he didn't believe me. I asked him if he heard it too, and he said no. Nobody believes me, and I haven't heard the noise since. But I still wonder what or who that thing was, and what it was doing walking around in the street.
He was the one who brought
He
it
the
up.
one who saw it, right?
Can I get your autograph?
Yeah, sure.
It's Pam. What do you want in life, Kevin Von Erich?
I want to be world heavyweight champion. And
Hold up, right? Let me ask you something. Is you feeling these stories? Are they like actual like scary junk, or they just like
They like some. It's like wow type story.
I feel like this ain't what I'm like. This ain't. Yeah,
I seen Corey watch it.
I seen Corey watch. This not giving what I want, bro.
Yeah.
A cool breeze crept through the valley outside of Telluride, Colorado, as my friends and I unloaded the truck parked on the dirt driveway. We had recently started renting an old mining house built in the early 1900s. Most of the home had been renovated over the years, but there were still glimpses of what the house used to be. The exterior of the home was painted a bright yellow and adorned a blood-red door. The yard was abundant, with lush green grass, minus the few brown patches that littered the ground. In the corner of the yard sat a dilapidated gazebo filled to the brim with landscaping equipment. I stood facing the house, admiring the quaint ambiance it seemed to exude. I felt something hit my back and spun around. My brother, William, was standing behind me with a box under his right arm. "Let's pick up the pace, we don't have all day," he said, with a little annoyance masked in his voice. Yeah, I responded, and started walking to the back of the truck. My other two friends, Elijah and Leon, were in the process of stacking some boxes on a dolly. "Hey man, take this to my room," Elijah said as he handed me a large box. I resituated it in my arms and gripped it. As I did so, I could hear glass clanging inside and a strong, familiar odor starting to leak out. "Hey man, be careful," Elijah snapped. "If you ever want to smoke again, I'd highly advise you to take it one step at a time there, champ." "Maybe if you didn't throw everything into one single box without bubble wrap, then you wouldn't have an issue of something breaking, Elijah," Leon responded. Elijah's eyes widened, as if he had just figured out the secrets of the universe. I laughed, turned around, and proceeded into the house. The floorboards creaked as I stepped onto the warped living room floor. I surveyed my surroundings of the old rustic home as I headed to Elijah's bedroom. Only 2 interior rooms had been renovated in the entire house, one being the kitchen, which had marble countertops and new appliances, the other being my room. I was the one who found the home on the market, so respectively I had first choice of which room I wanted to claim as my own. The other rooms, on the other hand, were still the same as they had been since the early 1900s, with dreary wooden floorboards and old chipping paint. "Dude, what the hell?" William yelled from upstairs. I quickly climbed the narrow stairway to find my brother in his room. I walked in to find what looked like to be a large lump underneath the wooden floorboards. It almost looked like Andre the Giant was buried in the middle of the room. "I told you it was an old home, Will. Things shift over time," I said, trying to hold my snickering back. "Yeah, I get that, but you didn't say that I'd have to maneuver around a speed bump," he snapped back. I took a deep sigh and turned to him. "Okay, look man, we're only gonna be here for a year. You've got plenty of room to put your bed so you're not sleeping on an incline." William turned back to the floor dejected. "That's easy for you to say. You're not staying on the cover of Sticky Fingers by the Rolling Stones." After we'd moved everything into the house, we all plopped down on the couch, beers in hand, and began our well-deserved R&R. Elijah had already begun smoking, and the room started to fill with the pungent odor. "So are we going to be doing some ghost hunting tonight, boys?" Elijah said, as he passed the joint to Leon. Oh, come on, you don't actually believe that crap, do you? Leon responded as he was rolling his eyes. The guy blew his brains out on the front porch in the 1930s. I'd be surprised if there wasn't a ghost floating through the halls. I mean, how do you think we got such a killer deal on rent? William said as he lifted his arms and started mimicking the sounds of a specter. Shut up. It's all nonsense. You've just been watching too much Ghost Hunters, I responded. But anyway, I'm gonna go to bed. We need to get up early to do some cleaning. Good night, guys. I stood up and meandered to my room. In all reality, I was a little perturbed by what happened at this house. I've always been quite agnostic to my beliefs of ghosts or spirits, but I've never witnessed anything myself. The rent was super cheap for an entire house, and I wanted to save some money for a trip outside of the country. I pushed the fact that someone had ended their life to the back of my mind. I wish things would have turned out much differently. I entered my room and slid under my sheets and basked in the warmth of my bed. It had been a long day and my body ached from moving. I grabbed my phone and looked for a rain and thunder YouTube video to help me sleep, and after about 15 minutes, I crept into comfortable darkness. My eyes shot open in the middle of the night. The moonlight shone through my window and enveloped my room in comforting light. I could hear creaking from the house as the wind howled outside. I tried to sit up, but found my efforts futile. Sleep paralysis was a regular occurrence in my life. It happened at least once a month due to stress and a little help from my antidepressants. At this point, I'd almost gotten used to it. I could hear what sounded like a light scratching noise coming from inside my room, and prepared myself for the usual dark figure to be standing in the corner.
My name is Lucy, and I have to figure out who I am.
My eyes darted from left to right, trying to decipher where the noise was coming from. It was then I started to hear skittering, like someone or something was moving around. A cold feeling crept over my body as I started sweating profusely, my sheets becoming soaked. The skittering stopped, but was replaced by cracking, one that resembled that of broken bone. Out of my peripheral vision, I could see long, needle-like limbs protruding from my closet. They each moved slowly, tapping the wall as if they were looking for something. I then saw a large, bulbous black mass starting to show itself from the closet door. It was coated in tiny hairs and twitched almost habitually. A loud moan echoed throughout my room as the creature finally presented itself. A spider-like entity was situated on my wall. The reason I say spider-like was because its head had been replaced with that of a human one. Its eyes were blacked out from the shadows of moonlight, and its lower jaw was removed, revealing a blotchy tongue that oozed saliva. It was about the size of a twin bed and stared at me for what seemed like hours. My heart was racing. I was begging my body to move, but to no avail. I was stuck there, in suspended torment. I tried screaming, but I was unable to make a sound. All I could do was watch the creature on my wall as it grew closer. Suddenly, it skittered to the ceiling right above me and started scratching with its two front legs, almost like it was burrowing. It then started to sink into the wall, as if the wall had turned into quicksand. First, the abdomen, then the legs. Eventually, all that was left was its mangled head staring straight at me. Those cold, dead eyes boring into my soul. I could hear it moaning, and I could feel the drips of saliva hit my torso. The creature then let out an inhuman roar and vanished into my ceiling. My body was finally released, and I jolted out of my bed screaming. As I did, the house erupted into more terrified outcries coming from upstairs. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who saw something. And, unfortunately, it wouldn't be the last time either.
That probably was the best one, which I feel like these was lame.
Low key, man.
Yeah, I feel like these was lame, bro.
I seen more worse.
I seen a lot, bro, but these wasn't. This was more of the vibe I was looking for.
Yeah.
But I could tell this was like medium tear compared to the rest of the video.
Yeah. I think the next one I liked was the soul one.
The soul one, man. That one was tough. That one was probably the best one too.
Yeah.
Dang,
that's the vibe I like. That Souls in the bottom, that's some shit.
Soul might be I think I like Souls as number one.
Over this one?
Yeah, I might like Souls over this one, bro.
This one took a minute to get to.
It was a real slow start, bro.
Yeah.
I think Souls number one. I like Souls, bro. But MLB, this is the end of the video. If you like the video, like and subscribe. I may drop more videos like these more often and stuff like that. I'm gonna try to.
Hey man, yeah. Hey, make sure y'all sub to Retro Roy. Hit the like button. Y'all know what it is, man. Go ahead and drop a comment on the vid. Go ahead and interact. Show your feedback and go check me out. OS Ron, baby. All type of entertainment on my channel.
Yeah.
Make sure y'all go check it out.
Yeah.
And stay tuned to Roy. Stay tuned to me.
Yeah. With that being said, though, man, MLB, like I think, to the mob, and I'm out with y'all later.